This is a poem called Impulse Plus Contact, and it was based on a prompt that I received in a class that I took called Pray and Play with Dare Sohi and Larissa Call. It's a great class that you should definitely check out. So this is called Impulse Plus Contact. It starts with an impulse, hiding like a snake in the leaves, growing more and more restless. The insects know first a song is coming. Then the birds join in. The squirrels stop nibbling for a moment to stand on their tiptoes and listen. The ripples in the creek are ready. Then there is contact, a crossing through to another universe where gods exist and what's inside your head is not different than the world out there because thought and rhythm and even the wind itself are in collaboration. Songs are not made in studios. They are made with radio waves emitted by dying vines and leaves that want to be crunched more and more deeply so they can be fully integrated with the ground and utterly swallowed by the source of all life to become God's body. Even mosquitos make it into the song because nothing that exists is outside of God, and God is not a man on a cloud. God is the song that calls from the tiniest puddles in the forest and berries that only see the sun when the wind tickles higher leaves and sets them into motion. God is the light that creates all things and touches all of us all the time so that we can remember the rhythm of life that perfects our glory. The mother never wanted a machine. She wanted flowers that lavish sweet smells and bugs who crawl on flowers and spread pollen everywhere. She wanted a land where birth never stops happening because everyone is making love and scattering seeds in the perfect combination of light, water, wind, and dirt. We made a machine and we sit inside its cubicles and take its many pills in order to cope with the lack of love that we're making. We thought we were supposed to produce plastic, and plastic is fine as long as it's also poetry, but a life without poetry is what the word hell means, for the rubbish heap is actually the street in downtown Manhattan where poetry is converted into the math that has become our God. No number will be enough. We thought the favela dwellers were the ones who lived in Gehenna. They make more poetry with the scraps they find in the city dump than we can with billions of dollars and an army of marketing experts who saturate every social media channel with English commercials that are pretending not to advertise anything beyond hipness, so that hipness takes the place of art, and a whole world of desperate like chasers are trying their hardest to be hip and find the exact right angle for every photograph, but there is no contact. Because it's all a closed loop with only performers performing for each other, and the most famous ones do the most cocaine to deal with the restlessness of living inside a mirror. What if we put the fucking mirror down so that we can talk and walk through the glass and into the real world that has always existed, where chariots of fire are waiting on every hillside for the children of God to be clothed in light and build tents and live in that world forever? Because if everyone actually trusts in the song that we were created to dance in, then Eden will be restored. And we'll realize that serpents are not to be stepped on because they comprise the chromosomes of the poetry with which all life is written. We keep on getting the story wrong in so many ways, but the song is eager to bring us back to dancing, and perhaps those who sinned and suffered before us have achieved complete integration like leaves and bones and comets and long since exploded stars crushed into dirt. We will always be dirt and breath, and the breath will never stop breathing through us. In whatever form we take, we can call it our mother, our father, the first flower, light dancing on water in the wind. Sometimes you are a hurricane, sometimes a turtle. You speak to us in birds and lions and the tiniest of lambs, and you'd rather us call you a lamb than a lion, so that we dance through the world in a way that closely watches every lamb and regards every creature with tender mercy. God knows that her body has a fierce immune system that will not tolerate a machine that crushes all the flowers. She wants nothing but to love us, and she accepts nothing less than our transformation into love. She will not force herself onto us, though her body will vomit us into the ocean if we fill the entire atmosphere with poison. Meanwhile, she waits for us to ask her to dance like a shy teenager who is so absurdly gorgeous that no one will talk to her. She is patient even though she will find 1,000 different arrows to pierce our hearts with, using nothing but her eyes. You were looking for a frown. That's what you thought God was. No, God is the middle school girlfriend I never had and also the one I did have. God winked at me every time I made love, and every time I sat in shame and rejection, my seed reduced to a frothy spit that would let me feel a few seconds of being absorbed into the great surrender. Even drunk, I saw you laughing at me in the water of the Waffle House toilet, and it makes me feel like I live inside a video game that had such an impossible boss for the longest time, but it turns out that there's only been a princess waiting for us in heaven who will step on our toes and into our arms like Zelda and say, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You found me."